Hello, this is Lawrence Lang, and today I'm in North Lincolnshire and have been invited into the home of the D'Oyly Carte soprano Jean Hindmarsh. Hello and thank you.
Hello.
Strangely, I was trying to make contact with you without knowing that you were trying to find me, having heard the interview that I did last year with Peggy Ann Jones. Luckily, though, David Stedman acted as a go-between and got the two of us together. Before we start talking about the D'Oyly Carte, you've asked that we should clarify something that's on Wikipedia about you. The biography states that you were born in 1932, which shows that you can't trust everything that you read on the internet, as you were, in fact, born in 1934. So in reality, you're a mere spring chicken.
Yes, I was born in 1934, and that's not the only thing they've got wrong.
Oh.
I went to the Royal Manchester College of Music.
Right.
According to Wikipedia, I am one of 25 notable alumni of the Royal Northern School of Music.
Oh.
Which was formed by the amalgamation of the college and the Northern School of Music in 1972.
Right.
So it didn't even exist
Right.
at the time that I was in college. It says that I got a teacher's diploma, which isn't true. I got a performer's diploma. So those are the things that really I'm happy to correct.
Right, but other than that, it's spot on, is it?
Well,
We'll find out as we go through.
Yes.
So you were engaged by the D'Oyly Carte Opera Company in March 1956. Was this straight in as a principal, or did you start in the chorus?
Now, straight in as a principal.
Right.
Thanks to the first of the Kathleen Ferrier Memorial competitions.
All right.
Three of us from college, from the Royal Manchester College of Music,
Get it right?
Yes, we asked the principal if we could enter the competition, and he said, well, if you want to waste your time, go ahead. So there was Jean Reddy, Ruth Morn and myself. Now, I won my heat in Blackpool.
Right.
There were 96 other competitors.
Gosh.
So I got to the final. Ruth didn't get to the final, but the other Jean Reddy, she won her heat and got to the final and actually won the competition. A few days later, I got a letter from the D'Oyly Carte inviting me to go and audition for them. So it was a wonderful waste of time, wasn't it? I sang my test pieces from the competition and then was asked to go back a week later and sing 3 Gilbert and Sullivan pieces.
Right.
One of which was Poor Wandering One, and then the other 2 were, I think it was Minerva and Josephine's second act song.
Right.
So I went back and sang those. And then Freddie Lloyd asked me to come down into the stalls, looked me up from head to toe and said, would you mind taking your shoes off? So
Right.
I thought, funny. So I took my shoes off and he said, you're not as tall as you look on stage. We were frightened that you might tower over the tenor, which was Neville Griffiths.
Right, yes.
So he said, we would like to offer you the position of principal dramatic soprano.
Oh, lovely.
And I nearly fell flat on the floor because I thought I was auditioning for the chorus.
Wow.
So that was how it came about that I actually got the job.
Wow.
So
Very,
wonderful.
Very impressive, yes. So over the next 4 years, you played the title role in Princess Ida, Mabel in The Pirates, Elsie in The Yeoman, Gianetta in Gondoliers, and Josephine in HMS Pinafore. And then in 1959, you gave up the role of Lady Ella and took on the title role in Patience.
You mentioned that I played Josephine in Pinafore. Now, my first performance of Pinafore, which was one of my trial shows actually, was a series of unfortunate accidents.
Oh dear.
Which have got somehow lost in transmission when being written about in a book.
Right.
When Josephine goes into the cabin and slams the photograph, I had to slam the photograph of Sir Joseph Porter into the little basket I was carrying and stalk off stage with my nose in the air. Now, I hadn't been on stage before, and I didn't know that there was a bar across the bottom of the doorway which is supposed to stop the water going into the cabin. I tripped over it, and according to the book, I fell flat on my face in the wings. But I didn't. It was one of those occasions where there was a lot of room and I managed to run and catch up with myself.
Right.
So I didn't actually fall. And then later on, when Josephine sings, "Hold stay your hand, I love you," and runs down the stairs, I slipped at the top of the stairs. Now, because the steps were close together and quite steep, and my feet are quite big, I slid down the whole staircase on my feet. According to the book, I slid down those stairs on my backside. And I didn't, because the crinoline would have been up around my ears. And Robin Gibson, who was the producer at that time, came round afterwards and said to me, "How on earth did you manage that run down the stairs? It was marvellous." So I said, "Don't expect me to do it again."
No.
At the beginning, when I sang my song, my dress, which looked as though it had a coloured band around the bottom, was actually a series of loops, and one of them got caught on a stage pin which was holding the hatch down. I could tell that I was caught, and I spent the whole of the song gently swaying to try and free myself, which I managed to do by the end of the song. According to the book, I yanked at it until it came free. Now, if I'd yanked at it, it would have torn. The dress was of quite flimsy material. It would have torn if I'd yanked it. So that is the truth of that first performance of Pinafore, and I'm glad to be able to tell people what really happened.
Right. The company toured for 48 weeks a year. This was at the time of train journeys to get you to each venue and theatrical landladies offering digs. Did you cope well with living from a suitcase?
Suitcase? Even more like a cabin trunk.
Well, yes, I suppose so. If you're out for 48 weeks,
yes.
You must have some amazing stories relating to life on the road.
Some digs were absolutely marvellous. Others were absolutely horrendous. I suppose an amusing one was when we booked into digs in Manchester.
Right.
You might know the area now. I don't mean personally know it, but the address was Moss Lane East, which most people now will know was a red light district in Manchester. So we booked into these digs, and there was a huge cabinet in the room, and there was a bronze statue of a naked man, absolutely naked, no fig leaf or anything, standing there in the middle. So Anne and I turned it round to face the wall. Every time we went into the room, it had been turned round again, and we turned it back to face the wall. In those days, we never went out without full makeup on and matching hat, gloves, bags, shoes, everything. And we were running the gauntlet of these women standing on street corners, absolutely glaring at us, and we really didn't know why they were glaring at us, but we found out later that we were in a red light district.
Right.
So that was a good one. And another one where we went in and there were piles of dirty laundry in the room. The place smelt awful. Anne had a fear of birds, and there was this huge bird statue sort of thing in the lounge. We went to the bedroom, and it was just a huge room with lino on the floor and 2 iron bedsteads, and that was it. And I said to Anne, "We're not staying here." And she said, "But we can't, we've already booked." I said, "We're not staying here." I said, "Don't accept a cup of tea or anything, because I've been told that if we do, we're liable to pay for the week." And we rang John Reed, and there was room for us to stay at the digs where he was.
Good.
So it all ended well. But some places we went, they were really, really nice. You know, there were people like you or me who have an interest in the company and offered accommodation to the people who were staying there. There was a mad rush on Fridays to pick up the letter from Prompt Corner.
Yes, Peter Riley's spoken about that.
Yes.
the clamouring of hands trying to get them.
Yes, yes, get the best ones.
Yes.
Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. When we were in Birmingham, we stayed at Anne's home, which was in Erdington, and when we were in Leeds or Bradford, we stayed at my parents' home. So that was nice. So.
And you mentioned when you were in Manchester in the red light district,
yes,
that you were wearing your hat and sort of matching coats and things. Dame Bridget was a stickler for the appearance of the company when it was sort of out and about in the streets, wasn't she?
Yes, it wasn't just that though. It was, you always, even when I lived at home before and after D'Oyly Carte, I never went into Leeds without, dressing up to go in. Going in as they do now in jeans and trainers and things like that. Going into town was something that you dressed up for.
Yes.
So, but it occurs to me I haven't told you about how I met Anne.
Oh. And this is Anne Sessions.
Anne
isn't
Sessions.
It?
Yes. We joined at the same time. We were on the same intake. Once I'd learned my roles, which was very, very quick, I joined the new intake of chorus to rehearse with them. And Anne and I hit it off straight away.
Right.
I remember Bill Coxhive saying, "There's always one," and that was Anne. She was absolutely full of life, full of beans, and I was very shy. And yet we hit it off straight away, and we were friends, close friends, until the day she died.
Right.
We might not see each other for a long time, in intervals in between, but there was always that. We were bestest friends. Yes.
And you don't always necessarily have to regularly see people to keep that friendship going, do you?
No, no. She was a lovely, lovely person. Yeah.
Did you get to do any foreign travel, or were all of your tours UK based?
No, I did. After I'd left, I was invited back, and actually this time I was on full contract again.
Right.
To go on the Canada American tour in 1962-63. My little boy was 2 at the time. Well, he would be 2 during the time. So I said, I would like to go, but I can't leave my son and husband behind.
No.
So the D'Oyly Carte actually paid for my husband and son to go with me, which I thought was really
very generous.
Amazing. Yes. So yes, it was a wonderful tour. I suppose the funniest thing was we were going through the Rockies and they decided to take us by train. So we thought, looking forward to seeing the Rockies in the autumn overnight. So we didn't see a thing.
That's the way it goes, isn't it?
Yes. But yes, that was a wonderful bonus. We played a few places in England as well, on that same little contract that I had. I think it was just over a year, about a year. So, and then the other times I went in purely as a guest.
Right.
Until 1969.
So when you went in as a guest, was that for sort of London seasons and things like that, or was it to cover an existing member of the company that had left out of the sort of normal contract period?
I was never actually told the reason, but I think it was to take me back as Princess Ida.
Ah, right.
I think that was the main reason for me being invited back. Later on, I do believe that Valerie was a good Ida, but maybe they'd not had anybody who was strong enough to play Ida in between that time.
Right.
I played other parts as well, but I do believe it was mainly for Ida.
Right, because the next area that I was going to mention to you, which I think we sort of touched on with that comment, was that you joined at the time that Princess Ida was reintroduced into the repertoire, and I was going to ask, was it regularly toured, or did it just come out for special occasions, as it did when I saw it at a London season in the mid-70s?
I think, although I'm not sure about this, I think it needed a big theatre.
Right.
There was a lot of scenery, but I think that was the reason it was only done at the big theatres.
Right.
So that was why it didn't appear as often as it might have done.
Right.
Big production. I think these days they play for laughs. And the operas are satires.
Yes.
The satire must be played straight.
Oh, definitely.
You've got to believe in what you're doing for the audience really to find it funny. It loses its purpose if it's played for laughs.
Yes. I'm a great traditionalist, with the productions, but, I'm quite happy with, modern versions, but as long as it's done with respect.
Yes.
And, as long as you've got that respect there, I feel that, it has the potential to work.
Yes, yes. Incidentally, Princess Ida gave me one of my biggest disappointments, and I didn't find this out until years afterwards, and I'm glad I didn't. Whilst I was still guesting for them, they brought in Malcolm Sargent to record Princess Ida. I can't remember who played Ida now, so it broke Godfrey's heart. That isn't being disrespectful.
No.
We called him Godfrey or Goddy. And it broke his heart because that was what he wanted to do, and it really broke my heart because that's a part that I would have loved to have recorded. But hey ho.
Well, Jean, although you didn't get a chance to record Ida before 1969 when you left the company, we're lucky that a private recording was made at Melvin Tarrant's Museum in Sussex, some 34 years later. With David Steadman at the piano, here is Manurva. People sometimes talk about encores being given whether they're called for or not. I saw an interesting notice in a programme from the Pirates in 1955, and it states, There are some instances where encores interfere with the continuity of the story, and the audience is asked not to break this continuity on encores when the action and dialogue is being carried straight on by the artistes. What are your memories of the encores? Did you like them or dislike them? Any views?
Well, I wouldn't have liked to have done an encore that wasn't called for. But Poor Wandering One, by the very nature of the song itself, which is showy and has a spectacular ending, does call for an encore if it's sung well. So I would have been horrified if I hadn't got an encore for that. but like, Never Mind the Why and Wherefore, I thought they were fun.
Right.
Yeah, it was good. It showed the audience were enjoying what we were doing.
Yes.
And yes, I'm all in favour of it, as long as you say, it doesn't interfere. You know, like, it's more in grand opera, I think, where you will get these points where it's not appropriate to do an encore. And but yes, they're fun.
Well,
the audience are enjoying themselves.
I always enjoyed them, yes. Even though it was the same old one each time you went to
Yes,
it. You thought, well, yes, it's part of what I've come to see.
Yes. If you didn't get any applause, then no.
Well, no.
But, yeah.
Most people that I've spoken to enjoy retelling some of the tales of when something goes wrong on stage. But being live theatre, it happens. Do you have any stories of mistakes that you can share?
I've got one, which was rather good.
Right.
It was Love is a Plaintive Song from Patience.
Right.
And I started singing it, and I realised I was singing the second verse instead of the first verse. So I thought, carry on, and I got to the end of the second verse, and I sang the first chorus to follow that, and then I thought, I've got to sing the whole thing, so I sang the first verse then, and then finished it with the second chorus. And as I finished, Godfrey sort of mopped his brow in the pit. And I thought, like Eric Morecambe said, I sang the whole thing, but not necessarily in the right order.
Lovely.
So I think that was the funniest one. But one that was really frightening was I was doing Yeoman, and I blanked. I completely blanked. I didn't know what I was doing. I missed about 2 bars of Elsie's song, and I just couldn't think where I was, what I was doing or anything. Godfrey was singing it in the pit, somebody singing it in the wings, and then I suddenly came back and picked it up. And I don't know what happened. It's never happened before nor since, but just for those 2 bars, I could have been anywhere.
Yes.
It was frightening.
Oh, it's
absolutely frightening.
It's scary when that happens,
yes.
isn't it? Yes.
But another
Been
one
there.
But another one that was quite funny, really, was we were doing gondoliers, and there's a scene where the 4, the 2 gondoliers and the girls have a couple of pages of dialogue, and I responded to something correctly, and I thought, I've already said that. And then dialogue followed on, and I could see that all 4 of us, you could see by our eyes that we knew
blind panic
what's happened, and we did the whole scene twice. We couldn't get out of it, so we just carried on and did it. And I don't suppose anybody in the audience noticed at all. But that was a weird one. We never found out which one of us had said the wrong thing, but we were in a loop.
And the trouble is, some of the dialogue is so similar, isn't it?
Yes.
That if you just get one word out of place, it takes you in a totally different direction.
That's right. Yes. And one word can corpse everybody on stage, so it's quite funny, really. So, there was another time, and I'm not going to name who this happened to, but when Phoebe has to say, whom thou hast shot through the head and who lies at the bottom of the river, by gabbling it so quickly, she said, who thou hast shot through the bottom and who lies at the head of the river.
Yes. Live theatre is wonderful, isn't it?
Oh, it's wonderful, yes. It's funny, when you're watching television and they do a live performance of say, Coronation Street, and everybody thinks it's marvellous. we did that every day. It's something that you should be able to do if you're an actor.
Yes.
Yes.
It's what you get paid for, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes. When we played Harrogate, we played the Royal Hall, and that we didn't have to go outside I don't think we did anyway, but to get from one side of the stage to the other, you had to go down the stairs into the bowels of the earth, and then run round the back of the building and up the other side. So that was a bit difficult. Remembering which side to go off so that you could get back on again. So.
You joined the company at the time when some would have been calling it the golden age of the D'Oyly Carte, due to performers such as Thomas Round, John Reed, Donald Adams, Alan Styler and Kenneth Sanford. Do you have any fond memories of any of those individuals?
Not particularly anything that stands out, but I have my own theory about the golden age.
Right.
I think prior to that time they had hired actors who could sing, and I think in the golden age they were hiring singers who could act. And I think that was the difference, that they were hiring good voices.
Yes.
And I think that's what made it the golden age of the D'Oyly Carte, because they had so many good singers.
So you were with the company for something like 14 years on and off in total. Did you see many changes in the way that the company worked or the way the operas were presented?
Not really. The biggest changes for me were that I was working with different people. When I was actually in the company, well, even there I started with Andrew and Grant playing the contralto roles, and then Gillian Knight came in. So there's a difference there, both in the on-stage performance and in off-stage relationships. I got on very well with Drummy. Not with her dog. Doodle used to sit under my dressing table and pass wind, and it was not pleasant. But Drummy herself was lovely and gave me a lot of useful tips. And then I got on well with Gillian, and so beautiful and able to make herself look so ugly on stage. It was quite amazing, and a glorious voice. So that was the main difference for me, that I was working with different people.
Right.
And of course I hadn't worked with Philip Potter until I went back as a guest.
Right.
So that was different, but I didn't not like anybody that I worked with.
No.
In general, I got on very well with everybody in the company. They were a bit resentful of me when I first joined, because they'd all been very fond of Muriel Harding, whose place I took. And then it was actually Donald Adams, who was her husband, who sort of had a quiet word with the principals, and said that it's not Jean's fault, and everything was fine after that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but I did get on well with everybody.
Good. Did you find that the management style changed over the period of time that you were there?
I never had any trouble with the management.
Right.
I know some people say that they were not good to work for, but I thought they were good to work for, and I was one that I was able to stand and fight my own corner.
Right.
When it came to discussing the salary, Freddie Lloyd once said to me, he said, "I'm glad I'm not married to you." Because I fought my own corner, and I got, in general, I wasn't unreasonable, If somebody offered me £4 a week extra, I fought for £5. So I wasn't a pushover as far as that was concerned. But I found them a good management to work for. And one time I was ill, I got tonsillitis 6 times in 5 months. It was really, really bad. And they actually paid for me to go and have my tonsils out at the Florence Nightingale Hospital for Gentlewomen, would you believe? And I had a lovely letter from Bridget, wishing me well and everything. Yes. So I thought they were great. Yeah. No qualms at all. I had nothing bad to say about them. They treated me well.
Well, I've certainly heard some very good statements, from the likes of Vera Ryan when she was talking about how they treated and kept husband Alan Styler on the books
Yes.
when he was ill. So,
Yes, I can believe
yes.
it. Yes. And Bridget, I've got letters from Bridget on green
ink. Yes.
Green ink. Yes. So yes, I thought they were a good management to work for.
Oh, good. You ended up recording 4 operas for Decca: The Pirates, Pinafore, Ruddy Gore and Mikado. We often see the case where the stage performer gets overlooked when a recording happens. I'm thinking, of course, of people like Peggy Ann Jones and Linda Ann Hutchinson. But in your case, you recorded 2 parts, Yum Yum and Rose Maybud, that you never actually played on stage.
It wasn't really until they recorded Ida and didn't ask me to sing Ida that I began to think really of the people who should have recorded Rose Maybud and Yum Yum, or who played those parts. And that must have been hurtful for them. But it wasn't a case of being asked if you would like to do it. It was just a question of them saying, we would like you to record.
Yes.
And you don't turn around and say no, do you?
No.
But it must have been hurtful for the, whoever was playing the parts at the time. Without looking it up, I can't remember.
No.
It puts you in an awkward position.
Yes.
And
it sounds like Mikado, doesn't it? Yes. It puts you in a very awkward position.
Very awkward position. But between thee and me, it does make you feel very guilty when you really think about it years later and think of the slights to the person who was actually playing the part.
Yes.
There's something to be said for doing it as is, rather than trying to strive for something that isn't normal.
No.
If you see what I'm trying to say.
Yes. You left the Carte organisation when you were expecting your first child, but that wasn't the end of your connection with the company. You returned on several occasions as a guest artist. Did you find the routine fell back into place quickly, or did you find it difficult to get back into the parts, having been away for a while?
No, I don't recall it having been difficult. And I bet you now, if I went on stage and had to say that long speech from Princess Ida, I could still do it verbatim. But the difference was working with different people. But the operas are basically the same. You have regard to the personality of the person who's playing it. There are always differences, but there are differences with different audiences.
Yes.
You get different reactions to things. So no 2 performances are exactly the same. And so I don't recall it being difficult to slot back in.
No.
With
good. Yes. So you finally left for the last time in 1969. What did you do after you left the company?
Not a lot.
Right.
I had 2 children. In 1969, Gary was 9 and Nigel was 5. So I was mainly concerned with looking after them,
right,
and leading an ordinary life. After a few years, I needed to earn some more money, so I took a job in the building society.
All right.
And I saw an advert in the job shop, as it were, and I rang up, and they were actually on the short list. And it was the fact that I had worked for the D'Oyly Carte that actually got me the job.
Wow.
I think they more or less made up their mind, and then the personnel manager said, well, we're actually on the shortlist, but come in and see me. And I think they were confident that working in a branch, and I was the only one there, it was a 1-person branch,
right,
that I'd be able to cope with acting my way through, even if I didn't know what I was doing. And it was the days of counterpads and everything, before computing. And I got on quite well until they hired somebody else who was an absolute misery guts. And then I applied for a job at head office. And I spent 10 years working for the Leeds and Holbeck, another 10 years working for the Leeds Permanent.
All names from the past, isn't it?
Yes. Retired on the day, when the Leeds Permanent merged with the Halifax. So I now find myself as a Halifax Bank pensioner, never having worked for them. So that's what happened after I left
Right.
Encors. I have always regretted giving up singing, I must admit. And if Opera North had started, say, even just 5 years sooner, I would have plucked up the courage to ask to audition for them. But it was just a bit too long. I could have got my voice back, I think, but I couldn't get my nerve back.
No.
So that is a regret that I have. I would have loved to have gone into Grand Opera. So there you have it.
But you've left us a good legacy of your work with Sullivan.
Very, very happy days, and the main thing that I took away from it was my friendship with Anne Sessions.
Right.
And I will always be grateful for the D'Oyly Carte for that. So, yes, they were happy days.
Good.
Do you remember they did the trial by jury? When
Actually,
they asked all us oldies back?
yes.
And I thought nobody would remember me, and it was Anne who did it. She said, I'm in touch with Jean, do you want me to, give her details? So they got in touch with me, and they invited me to take part in that performance of Trial. We were just in the box, on stage, but we were introduced one at a time, we oldies. I remember when Anne went on, they said, oh, this is Anne Sessions here. And she said, no, I'm something like, I'm Ginetta, I'm looking for Marco. Have you seen him? Go and sit over there. And then the music actually came to a halt before I managed to get on the stage. And he said to me, here's a blast from the past. I recognise the face, but I can't put a name to it. And I was to say, I'm Jean Hindmarsh, but you can call me Princess Ida. And I just got out, I'm Jean Hindmarsh, and I actually heard the gasp from the audience and then the applause, and I was practically in tears. It was wonderful. I hadn't expected to be remembered, and that was one of the wonderful things to take away. Yes.
So as well as doing that trial by jury, in 2022 at the International Gilbert and Sullivan Festival in Harrogate, there was a Together Again concert, bringing back former D'Oyly Carte members for an on-stage reunion. You were a surprise guest at that. You must have been thrilled by the reaction that you got when you walked on stage that time.
Yes, you don't expect people to remember you after all these years. But one of the funny things about that was that I had friends in the audience, and afterwards one of the friends said, you really enjoyed that, didn't you? I could see you singing along with everything. And I thought, little do you know, I was miming most of it. If it got too high, I just pretended. But yes, it was a lovely night, and I got to meet some nice people, for the new company.
Yes.
It was good. And faithful fans from many years ago.
Well,
yes.
It's lovely at those events when you get the chance to meet sort of people from the past that possibly you've only ever heard of on records.
But it's nice for people who are on the records to meet the fans, because you wouldn't have a job without them.
No.
Jean Duffy was one that I spent a lot of time with in Harrogate.
Yes.
So it was nice to see her again.
So thank you so much for the hospitality and agreeing to chat to me today. It's been fascinating hearing your memories, so thank you so much.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Oh, I just think it's wonderful. Thank you so much.